There's a really good chance that one of your past clients is going to buy or sell a house this year. And there's a good chance they won't call you. Not because they were unhappy or that they didn't trust you. They simply didn't think of you. And here is the hardest part. You might not ever even know it happened. Or one day you might be scrolling Facebook and see pictures of their newest house. Or maybe a mutual acquaintance mentioned it and said, "Hey, did you know they moved?" And then you're going to be left to wonder, what did I do wrong? Well, in many cases, absolutely nothing. And after coaching thousands of agents over decades, here's one of the things I have learned. I thought the right question that we should be asking is, do they trust me? Because if they trust me, they'll call me with future services. But the better question really is, do they remember me? And that one question changed everything. So today we're going to be talking about why good agents lose referrals every single day and what to do to make sure that people think about you and your services when the real estate conversation begins. Now, before we get into it, I'm super curious. Has this ever happened to you? Happened to me a lot. Tell me in your comments. I do read every one of them, and I think you're going to be super surprised at how many people this has actually happened to. You are not alone. Now, let's talk about why it happens. Here's the belief that is quietly costing good agents thousands of dollars every year. If they need me, they'll call me. It sounds reasonable after all. You worked hard. You answered late night phone calls. You negotiated tough inspections. You rescued the deal that looked like it was going to fall apart. They thanked you, maybe even hugged you for goodness sake at the closing table. So surely they'll remember when someone they know needs a real estate agent, right? Well, unfortunately, that is not how people make decisions. You see, they don't spend their days thinking about real estate, and they certainly don't spend their days thinking about you. They're thinking about their kids and their vacation and their health and the economy and their aging parents and life. And then one day a conversation happens. A friend of theirs says, "We're thinking about helping our daughter buy her first house," or "My parents are ready to downsize," or "I think we're ready to move." And in that moment, they don't remember you. They just can't think of your name. They remember that you were great. They can't remember who you are. They can't remember who you worked for. And then somebody says, "Oh, I know a great agent," and it's over. That's how referrals actually happen. Think about your own life. The last time that you needed a plumber, or the last time you needed a contractor. Did you immediately think about the last one you used? Probably not. Maybe somebody came to mind, but maybe you got told about someone recently, or maybe you saw a post online about someone. That made it super easy. And so you made that call. And that's exactly the way real estate works. The question isn't, do they trust you? The question is, will they think of you? Believe it or not, this can happen with close friends and family too. One afternoon, I was helping my father spread mulch in his yard. He was about 85 years old at the time. And as we were working, one of his closest friends drove by and we waved and he kept going. And then Dad said, "I'm kind of sad. Their house goes on the market tomorrow." I stopped spreading mulch and I said, "How long have you known they were selling, Dad?" He said, I don't know, a few months probably. And I said, well, why didn't you tell me? And he looked at me with this puzzled expression and he said, why would I tell you? Dad, because I'm a real estate agent. He paused for a second and he smiled and he said, well, I guess I just don't think of you that way. And that was a big moment for me. And it was a moment that changed my business. You see, Dad absolutely trusted me. He thought I was a great agent. He wanted me to succeed. None of that was the issue. The issue was in the top of his mind, I was his daughter. And that's when it hit me. The people closest to me don't think of me in a professional role. They think of me as their sister, their neighbor, their tennis partner, their church friend, their college roommate. And honestly, that's exactly how it should be. Healthy relationships aren't built on business, they're built on life. And there is a lesson hidden inside that story. If the people who know us best don't occasionally see that we are successful in real estate, they will not naturally connect us to a real estate conversation. Not because they don't trust us. It just simply, they don't think of us that way. And maybe you have experienced that too. Maybe a friend sold their house and you found out 6 months later, or maybe someone in your church moved across town and you never even knew they were looking. They weren't avoiding you and they weren't trying to hurt your feelings. They simply weren't thinking about you as a real estate agent. And once I understood that, it was an incredible feeling. This was human nature. Life is noisy. And now here's the insight that changed everything for me, and it became one of my guiding principles. Trust gets you considered. Being remembered gets you called. So, what does staying in somebody's life really look like? Now, for lots of agents, this is where the conversation gets super uncomfortable because that little story in your head is going, but I don't want to bother people and I don't want to sound salesy and I don't want to sound pushy and I don't want people to think I'm always asking for business. I totally understand because I had that exact same story going through my head for a really long time. But here's what happened. I learned to think of it in a different way. And I'm going to invite you to reframe it too. Here's how I think of it. Staying connected isn't about marketing yourself. It's about serving the people who know you and trust you, serving the people. Think about what happens when people are about to make these really important real estate decisions without good advice. They overprice their house, they underprice their house, they believe something they read online. They have these really well meaning friends who give them bad information. They make emotional decisions that cost them tens of thousands of dollars. That's what happens when they don't have a trusted advisor. You know better. You have experience, you have expertise, and you have the knowledge to protect them from making expensive mistakes. So staying connected isn't self-promotion, it's service. You're not reminding people that you're in real estate. You're reminding them that when life changes and they need real estate help, that there is someone they can trust. That's a very different mindset. So instead of asking, how do I stay visible? Ask this, how do I stay valuable? Those are two completely different questions. One feels like marketing and one feels like caring. And that is where the difference is, and people can tell that difference. The agents with the strongest referrals aren't usually the loudest. They're the ones who are simply present. They check in. They come naturally to people's minds. That's the goal, not promotion, presence. Of course, the hard part is remembering to do it because we often vow we're going to stay in touch, but our lives are busy too. And that is exactly why I created that free resource, the Relationship Operating System. It's not a marketing plan, it's not a social media calendar, it's a simple relationship system. It will help you identify how to build the habit of staying connected in a way that feels genuine, not in a way that feels pushy. You can download this resource at the link down in the comments. And I think you're going to find it is easier than you expect. Because here's one of the things I know is that without a system, it won't happen. It just won't. Because at the end, the goal isn't to become the agent they trust. It's to become the trusted agent they remember. If this video gave you one idea or one resource that changed the way you think about referrals, I'd really appreciate if you give it the thumbs up. It helps other agents find it. And if you know another realtor who could take advantage of this, please send them this way. It might completely change the way they think about relationships. So thanks for spending time with me, and I'll see you in the next video. And please remember, doing more isn't better. Doing better is better for your business.